Today at Skateway, I'm going to show you how to change the lower belt on a Leslie speaker cabinet. This is a Leslie Model 125, and that means it only has one rotor, the bottom rotor. And we're going to change the belt on it today because I can tell that it's getting old. It's taking the Leslie too long to get up to full speed, and that lets me know that I need to change the belt. I got this belt on Reverb. It ended up being the cheapest option for me. I will post in the description some links to where you can get these lower belts. So the first step is going to be to take the back off the Leslie, because you cannot get to the speaker, and you're going to have to take the speaker out to change the lower belt. So let's get to that. Okay, I've got all the screws out. Now I'm going to take the back plate off. And it just slides right off. So now we can see inside this cabinet. So a Leslie 125 only has one speaker and this bottom rotor. So right now I cannot see the belt fully because the speaker is still in. So I'm going to have to remove the speaker in order to replace the belt. So that's my next step, is to remove the speaker. So these Leslies, they're old, so these speakers are heavy. So you need to be careful when you're taking it out that you don't drop it or damage it. So I'm just going to gently take this speaker out of here, and I'm going to set it down right inside the cabinet. So now I can get access to the rotor and the belt. And I can see that this belt has definitely seen some better years. And like I said before, I can tell that it's definitely old. It needs to be replaced because it's taking too long to get up to speed. So I'm going to move the camera and get you a better shot of that, and then we'll keep moving on. So here's a better look at the inside, and you can see now why you need to remove that speaker in order to get at the belt. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to take the belt off of this. And so now you can see this is why you need to take that speaker off in order to get at that bottom belt. So we're going to go ahead and take that off now. And I can tell that this belt is super loose, and that is definitely causing the problem. So this is the motor that turns the rotating drum at the bottom of this Leslie. Here's our belt. Now there's a couple ways we can remove the belt. I can cut it with a pair of scissors and pull it out of there. I don't care about this belt. It's not going to do me any good, so I'm just going to throw it out. I might as well cut it out. If you need to do any work to your motor, like oil it, I would suggest taking these wing nuts out, dropping the motor out, then you can take your belt out. If you don't want to take the motor out and you don't want to cut your belt, then you can simply fit your fingers in behind here, and you can position the belt. See how I'm positioning it up? I'm just going to push it up and over that wheel, and then I can pull it out. So now I have the belt off of the motor. So I just removed the belt from the motor side, and now I'm going to remove it from this side. So this bracket is what keeps this drum stable. So all I'm going to do is position the rope so that I can pull it around the bracket like that. I'll do the same thing on the other side. And now I have removed the belt. Here's my new belt, and I'm just going to reverse the steps that I just did to put the new belt on. Once I've installed the new belt, my Leslie should have no problem getting up to speed and not taking too long. I was able to remove the old belt without having to move the motor or mess with it too much, because the belt was loose and stretched out. This new belt is the right size, so I might have to mess with this motor in order to get it on. Now this back wing nut here, there's two wing nuts. There's one on the front and there's one on the back. This back wing nut is in a sliding channel back here. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's a sliding channel. When I loosen that wing nut, you can see that I can move the motor in that channel. Now, as my belt got older and more stretched out, I moved it. I loosened it and moved it until I was maxed out, and that's when I knew I needed a new belt. So you can release the tension on this back wing nut and get your motor a little closer. So to make my life easier, I've loosened this back wing nut, the one that is in the sliding channel that allows you to tighten the belt. And I've taken the front wing nut completely off, this one over here, because that's going to make it a lot easier for me to take this belt and put it on this wheel. Now you want to make sure that you have the belt in the groove of this wheel or it won't work. So I've double checked my top and I've got my belt in that groove. I want to make sure it's in that groove. And before I do anything else, I'm going to double check the motor again and make sure that everything is in that groove. Now before you screw the speaker back down in, we've got this bracket here. That keeps this stuff from wobbling around once it starts spinning. Now in your speaker cabinet, there are grooves. You see that groove right there? In that groove is where you want this bracket. There's one on this side and there's one on that side. You want to make sure your bracket's in that groove before you screw it back down. So you want to make sure that your bracket screw hole and your speaker screw hole line up. That way you don't get any rattling or anything like that. So that's it. I've got the new belt on. I just reinstalled my speaker. But before I put the back panel on, I'm going to double check to make sure that I've installed it properly. If the Leslie's still not getting up to speed in the right amount of time, there could be something else wrong, not just the belt. If I hear a flapping or a thumping, that means that my belt is not attached correctly and it's not on the wheel and it's not in one of those grooves. Like and subscribe if this has been helpful. If you want more information, check the description.